Midjourney is an AI artist. In this post, we'll explore how it might be used in game design. Every one of the 130 plus images you see in this video, except for a couple of shots of websites, has been generated by Midjourney.
What is Midjourney?
The Midjourney website says Midjourney is an independent research lab exploring the mediums of thought and expanding the imaginative powers of the human species. What we'll be looking at here is a public service they make available to generate images from text descriptions. Before we get into this, you need to understand how utterly lacking in artistic talent I am. I can't draw or paint. I can just about tell the primary colors apart. But ask me to identify a shade of red, I'm stumped. This will be important as it will demonstrate you don't need to be an artist to use Midjourney. You do, however, need an imagination. Be assured that artists, in my opinion, need not worry about this technology replacing them. As you will see, it's a tool that in the right hands can make you even more effective as an artist. It'll generate ideas in the hands of someone like me, will do the same for an artist. But you still need an artist to truly turn them into quality work that will delight.
Can Midjourney act as my junior concept artist?
In my game dev, I've focused on procedural generation using purchase assets from the asset store because I have, no choice. I can't draw or paint. I build small games to test specific ideas and gameplay mechanics, and this approach has served me well. However, as I get closer to wanting to work on my real game, this approach is starting to limit me. Somehow, I need to get the game world out of my head and into the hands of an artist. Homestead Saga on our Discord posted this image explaining that it was generated by typing a simple 3-word prompt into Midjourney.
First World War.
This gave me an idea. Perhaps, I thought, I could use Midjourney to do some early concept art that would enable me to get some ideas into a storyboard version of my game so that an artist can do their thing without worrying too much about precisely what's in my head. I immediately went and created a free account on Midjourney. Within minutes, I'd created this image, which was inspired by the original one posted by Homestead Saga.
Thousands of First World War soldiers, with poppies on their helmets, looking towards a war-torn city.
Okay. There's a whole debate over whether I truly created this. My thinking on this has evolved as I've learned to use the tool. At this point, I would say I didn't create this image. I merely caused it to be created. But read on. By the end of this article, I will be claiming to be the co-creator of the later images. Now, it's important to realize that you can't go to Midjourney and type that prompt in and get the same image. There is an element of randomness to what the AI generates. Also, you can train it to give you images in a particular style. So what you generate will initially be based on the average user's preferences. Over time, the AI will learn what you like and start to generate images closer to your preferences. By the way, if you want to try Midjourney, come to our Discord where we have a dedicated channel for the Midjourney bot. Everyone can generate about 25 images for free, and we'll help you get started.
Using Midjourney in game design.
Next up, I wanted to see if I could create a scene from the opening sequence of my game. I figured this was a bit adventurous. I'd not even read the documentation on how to create a good image prompt yet. However, I was eager to try. Here's the image I created.
John is sneaking up on the orc village. Orc children are playing.
Mind blown. Okay, so John isn't really sneaking up, and it's not exactly detailed, but for a first attempt, that was pretty good. I didn't know it at the time, but that prompt was lacking in clarity. I'd not said who John was, so the AI had made him an orc. And what does it mean to be sneaking? Is he playing with the children, or sneaking up to attack the village? Furthermore, I didn't describe the look of the village or the wider environment. I tried again. This was my very next attempt.
John, the soldier, scouts the orc village from a ridge.
I noticed that providing more detail in the prompt resulted in something a little closer to what I had in mind. So I tried again with more detail in the prompt.
A modern human soldier looks down from a ridge on an orc village. Bright sunny day.
It even put him in a ghillie suit. Fantastic. In my game, the characters travel through multi-dimensional gates, So you'll find near future humans in a fantasy world and fantasy characters in a near future Earth. I wondered if I could bring orcs to London.
A fearsome orc in Piccadilly Circus on a bright day.
Not bad. Could do with some work, but not bad. How about the battle scenes in late game?
A battle between orcs and elves in Times Square on an overcast day.
I was almost sold. But could I bring a level of consistency to the generation such that it would be useful in game design? Time to learn how to make a good prompt.
A comment on the Midjourney memberships.
The key to making a good prompt is to understand the language that the AI speaks, and then to iterate on the pictures until you get what you want. Before we dive into prompt craft, let's examine the word iterate for a moment, because it has implications on cost. Each time you generate an image, it costs GPU time. If you iterate on an image, it will cost more time. If you iterate 5 times, it will cost 5 times more. Very often, you won't actually use the images you are generating, though you might still use them as input to a new generation. The basic membership gives around 200 image generations a month. This seems like a lot, but if you take 10 generations to get to what you want, that's only 20 images that you'll use. Still, an absolute bargain, but if you plan on doing lots of work, then you should seriously consider the standard membership because it includes unlimited relax time. What's relax time? Well, it's slower than fast time. Your jobs get scheduled behind other jobs that are using fast time, but it's not slow. All the time I'm writing this, I'm generating images, and I'm never waiting for one to finish. Every time I complete a paragraph and look up, my last image is finished. You also get a really healthy number of fast hours should you be in a hurry. The standard plan is currently $30 a month.
Midjourney prompt craft.
The best way to learn the language of a good prompt is to read the manual as well as explore the images made by other people. You can do this by browsing the community feed and following people you like. Take a look at my Midjourney feed, for example. While it's easy to find the prompts used, there are other important details that might not be obvious, such as special parameters fed in, and perhaps some prompt images too. To get the full details of an image prompt, you need to click on the ellipses and select Copy Command. This will give you the details of the prompt, which might look something like this. What do all those parameters mean? Why am I using a made-up name for the village? How on earth am I supposed to come up with that? The answer, I'm afraid, is trial and error. But there is help out there. There's a very large and healthy Midjourney Discord community helping one another out. And we have a much smaller Discord community focusing on game development.
Is this art? Am I an artist? Is the AI an artist?
When I started playing with this tool, I was adamant that neither I nor the AI were artists. I felt that the AI was just generating semi-random stuff based on a few keywords that I provided. Sure, it was clever, but this was not true art. However, as I've learned to use the tool, I've come to think of myself as a junior art director, and the AI as my super rapid but junior concept artist. The images generated by Midjourney typically have a pretty good composition and light balance, but without a well-crafted prompt, the results are truly random. This is not a replacement for artists. It's a tool and an ideas generator. You can quickly iterate on hundreds of images. In doing so, you're creating other valuable assets, such as brief textual descriptions of the characters and scenes that can be used in other ways.
Putting the art in AI art.
There are two similar approaches to creating Midjourney AI art. The first uses purely textual descriptions to generate unique images. The second iterates on an existing image by providing that original image as part of the prompt and then modifying it with a textual prompt. Both styles of image creation benefit from an iterative approach to prompt craft. Let's look at each approach in a little more detail. Often, when you start out, you won't have a fully formed image in your mind's eye. You will be using the AI to give you ideas. Starting from a fairly vague prompt, you will generate a few images, and then you will refine the prompt based on the results. You might encourage the AI to inject more of its own style, perhaps even adding a little chaos here and there. Chaos is a currently undocumented test parameter. Maybe by the time you're watching this, it will be fully documented. Once you have a more concrete idea coupled with a few sample images, you might start using one or more of those images as part of your prompts. In this case, you're asking for a similar image, but different in a described way. Using the parameter image weight, you can tell the AI how similar it should be. The lower the value, the less similar to the original image your creation will be. Using this method, you can build iteratively on a previous image as you move closer to what you want. When working this way, your job as an art director is to coax the AI into producing an image close to the goal you have in mind. You are purposefully injecting your intentional creativity into the process. The AI, like a real artist, won't produce exactly what you're imagining. However, it can be controlled and influenced. Using the stylize parameter, you can limit the amount of input the AI has on the final image, from very little using the minimum value of 625 to a lot using the maximum value of 60,000. For example, with this prompt, I was attempting to create one of my primary orc characters. The resulting image looked like this. I loved the dragon tattoos it had given me on the chest, but the lower body was oddly elongated and there was too much fuzziness about the shoulders and arms. So I created an image prompt using this as a source image. I allowed the AI to vary from the original image a fair amount, but limited its stylistic input, allowing for just a touch to show through. The style I allowed through, coupled with a different seed from the random number generation, completely changed the tattoos and face. The overall feel is unchanged and the body structure is improved, but the tattoo is no longer a dragon. Immediately upon seeing this image, I knew which character it represented. He's a tribal chief, famous for standing ground against the dark elves who frequently attack and persecute the people from his village. I saw his tattoos and realized that this is exactly how an orc warrior like him would try to instill fear in the enemy. And so, Angsbar Ungahalt was created through a collaboration of a human and an AI.
Epilogue, a sample of my game world images.
The following is a bunch of images I've created to storyboard my game. These are roughly in time order, so you can see how I've learned new tricks with the prompting language. I'm learning more every day. Remember, these images are a combination of carefully crafted prompts, coupled with the training I've given to the AI through rating my own and other people's images. You can't expect to take these prompts and get the same image back. Want to learn more? Join us on Discord or try the official Midjourney one. You can get 25 free images following either path, and there are people there to help you get started.
A photograph of an orc admiring the art in the Tate Gallery. Subdued lighting, expression of love. The crowd go wild for an orcish rock band on stage in a stadium. Waist-up photo of an evil elven queen drenched in sweat and mud. Valley in the mountains, a sense of awe. Photography, 35mm, panorama, triadic colors, Ultra HD, natural lighting, sunlight, global illumination, lumen reflections, anti-aliasing, a dark elf mistress, beautiful brown skin, hyper-realistic, 8K, a smiling orc taking a selfie in the midst of a battle, hyper-realistic, photograph, cinematic, a 50-year-old, bored female orc with green skin, wearing tribal clothes, photograph, realistic, cinematic, burning battlefield with dead bodies strewn in the foreground, photograph, cinematic, 8K, evening light, Ungak is an orc village, tropical forest and the far world, midday sun, cinematic, Gaia is a female humanoid shadow forming a new planet, pollution obscured red surface.
Conclusion.
Midjourney is a fantastic tool for game developers. It allows you to quickly generate ideas and concept art for your game. It doesn't even come close to replacing a skilled art team. But for me, it has quickly become an essential tool in my tool belt. Not to mention, it's huge fun to play with. Want to see more? Check out the Wizards Code Midjourney feed.